In California, it's a different story today as 33 million Californians are under a stay-at-home order that started at midnight. Bars, hair salons, and playgrounds have been forced to close, and with the restrictions that will last through Christmas and New Year's Day. Now it comes as California has seen more than 30,000 people testing positive for the coronavirus. Over the past 14 days, there's been a rise of 72% in hospitalizations. There are now more than 32 million cases across the state. And in an attempt to address the rise in cases, California Governor Gavin Newsom today announced a partnership with Google and Apple to launch a COVID-19 exposure app. The question remains, though, how many Californians will actually make use of the app? Take a look at this.
With the experience we've had and the knowledge now we have of the effectiveness of these apps, that we can see some adaptation. But again, I'm very, very sober about the adoption rates, and I don't expect tens of millions of people. Quite the contrary, and we're hoping that there'll be enough to make this meaningful. But Apple and Google will also be helping in that promotion.
That was Governor Gavin Newsom, and Bloomberg's San Francisco Bureau Chief Kara Wetzel joins us now to tell us more. Thank you for joining us, Kara. Let's start with that app briefly that the governor spoke about. What do we know about it so far?
Well, Governor Newsom, as he said, he's developed it with Apple and Google and kind of made a big deal about, these hometown companies, of course, based in California, coming together to work on this app. And he calls it not a contact tracing app, but an exposure notification app. So it's really an option for people who, download the app. And if they are in contact with other people with the app, they will be notified that somebody who they were in significant contact with more than 15 minutes has been tested positive for the virus.
Kara, before I move on quickly, did Governor Newsom announce anything else big today?
Anything else big today? He talked a lot. We've had a lot of big announcements over the past few days. He talked a lot about the big lockdowns and everything like that. If you speak to, we are waiting for announcements for him about his replacement in the Senate for Kamala Harris. That's sort of the next big announcement, non-COVID related, but these were the big things today.
Okay, and so, of course, we know California was the first state to go into lockdown during the pandemic, and many people criticized the last lockdowns as being unevenly enforced. Counties had more leeway in setting their own standards at the time. So how are the restrictions different this time around than the first time California went into lockdown in March?
Well, the restrictions are more, the counties did have to adhere to the statewide restrictions. And when it came to reopening, is when they got to set some more of their own guidelines. But, I think what they've learned is that once they've opened a bunch of businesses back up, it's harder to close down. Notably, retailers, non-essential retailers in the spring had to be closed. They're going to be allowed to stay open, but just at 20% capacity. Entertainment production can keep going, whereas it was shut down in the spring. You just can't have live audiences. Same with sports. So that's a big thing. So they're trying to, be a little bit more judicious in what they close down, but there is still just a wide swath of the economy that will be shutting down, notably restaurants, which is probably caused the biggest concern around many of the areas of these restaurateurs who need all these efforts to open outdoors and, perhaps bought heat lamps and equipment and set up, and now they're being forced to shut down again right during the holiday season.
I would imagine they'd also, of course, need to offset some of those losses. And so what other lessons did the state learn from the last time, or the first time rather, that California went into lockdown in March?
Yeah, I think the big one is, as you said, we went into lockdown, and in May, when areas started to want to come out of lockdown, counties were given discretion to work with the state, but kind of come out at their own pace. And Newsom has the problem that California is such a massive state. He frequently brings up that it's the population of 21 states combined, so it's very hard to manage this. Every region is different. So but since then they've instituted a tiered system that allows for reopening and making decisions on when to shut down and when to come back online based on, areas' positivity rate and cases per capita. And in this lockdown, he divided the state into 5 regions, saying we will shut down based on regional ICU capacity. And so when a region hits less than 15% capacity, they need to shut down. So it was taking a regional look and making it based on the statistics in each region that led to the shutdown, as opposed to a broad approach or an individual approach. Just so they're trying different ways of managing California's massive economy and population.
Okay. Bloomberg San Francisco Bureau Chief Carol Wetzel, thank you so much for that.
The biggest stories the moment they happen from around the globe. Subscribe to Bloomberg Quick Take now for insight in an instant.